Hi, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my health planner today. I thought I'd actually go through the process of the way I'm thinking about setting it up. So the things I want to record and things like symptoms, medication, what I'm going to need in the future, what I might need for doctor's appointments, and where I can record things like test results and stuff like that. So I did have a bit of an experiment in an A5 bullet journal. So I did things like my sleep, the amount of time I was awake for. I did a little weekly what I'm sort of doing in that week in case any of those things led to triggers. I had a little to-do list. I think I was using it for priorities and things like that. So yeah, I've got a little to-do list there. I've got all of my food that I consumed and then a bunch of symptoms, and I did something similar on the page before. I do like it when it's cohesive, so this layout worked really well. And then I did a mini calendar where I just logged important events, things that I couldn't forget. And then I did my medication, so I did 30 boxes representing 30 days of the month, that month. So yeah, that worked out quite well. And I also tested it out in a square. So we've got the same month layout, and then I did the month symptoms on the monthly overview. So I recorded the data from the week and I inputted the data in the month just so I could come to this monthly overview page and say, okay, what's going on? In the calendar, I didn't log anything like events or anything like that, so that wasn't my plan here. I know I've not filled much of it out, but it was mainly if I needed to take extra medication. So if I had a migraine and I took my migraine medication, if I had a nap, or if I had any out of the ordinary symptoms that day, then I'd log it on here. And then we've got a list of triggers. So that month I used a new flea treatment on the cats, and I had a reaction to the flea treatment. Some of it got on my hands and it wasn't a nice experience, so that went on there. It's a similar sort of thing to the A5, except because it's square, there was a lot more space. So I did use extra stickers, and I did include steps, my beats per minute and my respiration rate. I literally just recorded that from my Apple Watch. Then we've got the sleep and the awake again, and then I do like to record my toilet habit. And then I've done a list of medication, all of my food, any notes that I might need, a list of important events or anything out of the ordinary went in there. I do really like this type of layout with the boxes. I rate my symptoms. I rate them 1 to 10. 1 being I don't need to take anything. I can tell it's there, but it's pretty irrelevant. So 5 being it's okay, but it's definitely becoming an issue. And 10 is like, this is the worst it's ever been. It's stopping me from doing all my normal activities. I have to take medication for it, that type of thing. So 10 is my worst, and 1 is, you know, hardly there at all. So I think I'll probably stick to that. When I recorded it in the in this monthly, I did a 1 to 5 scale, and what I actually did was I looked at the number, I added the morning and the afternoon and then divided it by 2, and then if it gave like a 0.5 number, I thought to myself, okay, is it nearer this whole number or that whole number, and I would record it there. So then the idea of this is at the end of every month you've got week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. Then you've got a section for this month, so anything significant to go there. It might be that you have a lot of medical appointments, a lot of doctors, trips, a lot of, you know, things going on, and you need to take notes so you remember what to say at those appointments. So you just take little bullet point notes there. Or if you have regular tests which include regular test results, you can use this section to input your test results there. So you've always got a log on your monthly overview. You can literally just turn to this page and you can see everything that's going on in a snapshot, which is what works for me. I am going into the Hemlock and Oak, which is in between the square and the traditional A5. It is a little bit bigger. It's probably a centimetre and just over a centimetre wider. So a centimetre at the top taller and a little over a centimetre wider. Going in here, let's start at the beginning, that'd be helpful. We've got a self-reflection. What moments in your life have been the most meaningful and fulfilling to you? Now I want to try and relate this to my health. Moments where I've had good health days and things that I've done to improve my health. I spent the last year changing how I ate, and I've actually lost almost 5 stone doing that, which I'm really proud about. I do still have 9 pounds to go until I reach my original goal. Hopefully we'll get there. What are you proud of most? What memories give you energy? What memories drain your energy? So I think this is kind of looking at a mental perspective. You know, what sorts of things are you reminded of that influence your energy in a positive way, and what sorts of things are you reminded of that influence your energy in a negative way. I probably won't use those, and I'll relabel them and use them as something else. Then we have this self-reflection. Identify 4 people that you respect and admire. Now I think this is a really good exercise from just a general point of view. Not sure how I will implement this for health specifically, but generally I think it's a good exercise to do. And then self-reflection. I think I can probably make this work, this self-reflection bit. Identify 5 negative thoughts you believe, thoughts or beliefs that you hold about yourself. Reframe them into neutral and positive statements. I spent a long time really disliking the way I look. It's easy to do with all the social media, and you know, the more media you consume, it's really difficult not to compare yourself to other people. So that was one of my big issues. I can include some of that there, and some of it does relate to health and some of it doesn't. So anything that I don't go on to use, I will likely stick stickers over them. At least it will look pretty. Identify my values. It asks you to use a highlighter or marker and select words that stand out to you. If there's any that stand out to me that are health related, whimsy, solidarity, support, that might be a good one. Mindfulness. So there's lots and lots on here to go at. Hopefully you can actually see the words. Let me lift this up. You can pause the video if you want to read it a bit more. So yeah, I'll have a look through there and select the ones that are relevant for this planner. My weekly daily one actually has this in as well, so I'll sort of be separating my values into which planner system it fits into. What do we have? Identifying values. Rank your top 5 values. That's interesting. Describe why you think they're important to you. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. Setting goals. Now, I did just say I've got £9 to lose, so that'll be one of my goals. and I'll just input in all the segments. So what habits do I need for this journey? Brainstorm some markers that will help you measure and or identify your progress, things like weighing or, you know, physically using a tape measure. So we've got plenty of those. And we've got habit cultivation. Now this actually helps me if I'm given a new medication. I am crap at remembering to take medication when someone comes along and throws a new one in. I currently take B12, vitamin D, I take a beta blocker called propranolol, and I take a big electrolyte tablet. I've found that the electrolytes really help with preventing migraines, so I've found really good correlation in my data to say that actually it is the electrolytes. And I've trialled days where I've not taken electrolytes and then ended up with a migraine, and then followed it with days or weeks where I have taken electrolytes and not had migraines at all. So I'm pretty confident in saying that electrolytes are a win for me on the migraine front. I probably will use these, but I'll use them throughout the year as and when I need them. Daily framework. I don't think this is going to apply to me, not for the health planner. It's how you want to start your day, create an ideal schedule. Now I'm just not going to use that. I mean, I could cover that with a sticker if it's just that bit I'm not going to use. How do you want to start your day each day? I do start my day the same way each day, so that can go in there. What hours do you have the most energy, and you graph it out. I guess that might be helpful. What barriers do you typically encounter throughout the day? Maybe I could focus that on health. I was born with clubfoot on my right foot, and I've recently had 2 surgeries, and the recovery is so slow, frustratingly, ridiculously slow. My step count is typically quite low. If I do over 5,000 steps, I am in quite a lot of pain. My last surgery, I had my foot broken and I had it pinned, and they said, okay, it's going to take about 18 months for you to start feeling like it's getting any better. You know, I went for physio, and they basically just reiterated what the consultant said, and here I am. How many months is it? February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So 10 months it's been, and we are where we are, but it's a slow process. I do have barriers in my life that can go there that are related to health. And the last one is, how do you want to end each day? Now, I don't typically do much at the end of the day. I do really like to decompress at the end of the day. Me and my partner might watch something on TV, or I might do a bit of gaming or something, but other than that, not much is going to go there, and I'm not sure if it's directly linked to my physical health, these 2 segments. My mental health, yeah, maybe, but I'm not steering towards mental health in this planner. I'm going to primarily use it for physical health. We'll see. Important, write down anything important you might need to reference throughout the year. Now that's a really good page if you want somewhere separate to say, write all your doctor's appointments, test results, anything like that. I'm not sure it's quite big enough actually for like test results and stuff. Depends on what you have tested, I guess. I will cover these. I'll cover those up with prettier calendars just because I want my health journal to be pretty. I want to come in here, I want to have a creative outlet. Right, let's move on. Okay, so I think I will probably use this quarterly section for tracking my migraines and headaches. I get a lot of sinus issues, so I think my sinus issues are the main cause of my headaches and migraines, and it'll be interesting to kind of have an overview at the end of each quarter to see, you know, where I've had a headache or migraine, where I've had to take medication, you know, where it's led me to need to go to bed or anything like that. I'll track basically head pain and the medication I take, and what action, if it's not medication, that I've needed to take as a result of it. And then at least I will be able to correlate the data and see if I need any medication changes, or to see on a long-term scale if what I have in place is actually working for kind of a longer term scale rather than just for now. This page I'll cover. I do not need the holidays, and they are not the UK holidays. This is Canadian journal. Neither of those apply to me, and I don't need them in my health journals. I will likely, let's just see what the next page is. The next page is the overview, so I think I'll use this as like a dashboard, and I'll put a double spread graphic across there to separate the front part of the journal with the kind of main body of the journal where you go into January. This is the overview, and we have a boundaries section, so you know what boundaries you're going to set for yourself in that month. 3 ways that you can carve out time for yourself. I will use that. The intentions you want to have that month, and the milestones that you'll be focusing on. And this is a really good page for me and what I'm going to use the planner for. I'm glad. There is a little habit tracker here. I don't think I'll use that, and I'll probably just stick some decorative element down on there. Then we go into January. I do have a January kit to use on here, and we have the journal printed with the moon phases as well, which I'm really happy about because I would come in here and put them in myself anyway. And then we've got the first week, which starts on December 29th. I want to be using this a similar way to how I laid it out in here. I definitely want to include all of my food. I want to include everything that I eat and drink, just in case. I'm not bothered about including events or tasks, but things like housework, when I've done housework, when I might have used products, things like taking a shower, doing the laundry, you know, cleaning the kitchen or the bathroom where you might use chemicals or different types of products. I will probably record that in a similar way to this. Now this planner is laid out horizontally on the left hand side, so I will split the page. I probably won't split it in half. I'll probably split it here, so then I have way more room for recording all my food and drink. I really love collecting data. I absolutely love life data. I don't know, it just brings me so much joy. What's next? Let's have a look. What I was thinking is, if I do my symptoms in the squares, in the boxes, if I do my symptoms in this type of box, and I always put them on the right hand side of the page here, then if I want to compare a week, I can just move the page over and I can have a comparison between weeks. Or if I want to compare 3 weeks, say, then I can just shift the pages so that it's easily visible on multiple pages. I think I'll probably go with that idea, and if something changes then I'll just change it up a little bit. I definitely want to record my medication for sure. My sleep I want to record. I've been an insomniac since I was 17, and I think sleep tracking for me is important because sometimes it correlates to, you know, headaches, migraines, feeling run down. Sometimes I feel like I'm unwell when I'm not really unwell, I'm just run down. I don't have a virus, so it's good to keep track of that. I do want to keep track of my steps as well, so I can see my progress that I'm making after the surgery, and if I need to report back to my consultant, I'll have some information to give to him. What we'll do next is set up this page. I need to count out the boxes, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 symptoms that need to go down the edge of the page, so I'll count those out and mark them up and then go from there. This is what we have for the week so far. Hopefully it pans out the way I want it to. So we've got an X box, which is basically going to be poop. So I'm going to score that there. I don't want to show my journal with poop written on every week, so I'm just going to put a cross. Then we've got the degrees centigrade for the temperature outside. Sometimes the temperature gives me triggers, so I'm going to record that. Then I've got my medication Monday to Sunday. I'll tick that as I go. If I need an AM and a PM, I'll do those in separate places because you can't fit two in one box as you go, so you do need separate ones. Then respiration, BPM and steps, how many hours I sleep and how many times and how many minutes I'm awake in the night. And then I've gone ahead and put my symptoms down the side. Like I said before, I think it will be best to be able to compare against other weeks if I just have them down the side there. So we've got congestion, costo, which is costochondritis, sinus pain, sore eyes, headache, stomachache, itchy and fatigue. Then down this side I'll record my food log here, and then on this bit I'll record any activities that I deem significant for my health. So if I've used chemicals that day, or if I've fleed the cats, or just used something new, I'll log that there. I think includes everything that I'm going to need. I've gone ahead and printed off these for the monthly overview. So I've got my date dots, my days of the week and a few decorative elements. I'm not quite sure how all of my information will fit onto this page at the moment. We'll just have to wing it for the first month, I think. Let's go ahead and get this done then. This is how the monthly layout turned out. I've not gone full ham on sticking down like decorative elements because I'm not sure how much of the space I'm going to use. I'm going to use this first month as a kind of trial run, what I want to be recording there. If I've missed anything out, I can include it in February. If I'm just not using it in January, then I won't include it again. But I think I do have enough space along the bottom. It does include the last week of February, so I do have that space, you know, I've stuck stickers that side, but I can use this side. And then we've got this full column on the left hand side that I can record any data from the weeks there. So hopefully that's enough room, and I'll let you guys know how it goes and what happens along the way. I've also decided to use these mini calendars on the 2026 side, and I'll cover these up like so, and on the 2027 side I'm going to pop a dashboard there. The mini calendars turned out quite well. They did just fit, but I'm happy with the placement. I will use these to track, but I'll only be tracking kind of trigger days. So anything where I've had something new and it's a new trigger, I'll pop a circle around the date, and anything that's a trigger that I know about that has repeated itself, I'll put an X over the date. When I look back, I can see which days I've had new triggers and which days old triggers have been a problem, which indicates I need to change something. And that's it. Next time I'm going to be setting up my media journal. What I'm going to be using it for, going to be using a completely different type of artwork in there as well, so look out for that one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.